Hello, Star Wars Celebration! It's day 3. And welcome to another episode of Star Wars Escape Pod and our sub-series Lightspeed, where we take you through 15 minutes of Star Wars news and headlines. I'm your host, Josh, and if you haven't tuned into the full podcast at all, make sure you join us on another week or another Tuesday, Monday night, whenever you listen to podcasts. You can join us in the podcast app of your choice or on YouTube. Find us with the handle at SW Escape Podcast on YouTube. And you can always look us up in your podcast app of choice. And this weekend, we've been covering Star Wars Celebration from head to toe. It's taken a lot of hours, taken a lot of effort. I hope you guys are actually getting any kind of benefit out of it all. Because I tell you, my sleep schedule is certainly not. Having Celebration take place in London is a lot to cover when the events start at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And the event goes for about 7.5 hours every single day, with so many things to keep track of, screenshots to take, subjects to write down, and keeping the Twitter up to date, the Instagram, the Discord feed, the channels, and the Celebration live chat, where you can find a summary of Star Wars Celebration in a blog format, which is very useful. And it certainly helps me out when I do these podcast summaries at the end of the day as well. So, I got a lot going on. Maybe I'm like Dave Filoni. Maybe it's just, it don't stop. I need my very own clone or something like that. But here we go. Day 3 kicked things off with the announcement of the 3 panels that took place during the day today, which is the Obi-Wan Kenobi panel, the Villains of the Sequel Trilogy panel, and Disney Parks, Where Star Wars Comes to Life panel. So we're joining on the Celebration stage in the morning was Jonas Suotamo, who plays Chewbacca in the live-action films Solo, Sequel Trilogy, and more. He'll be playing a Wookiee Jedi in the Disney Plus series coming into the High Republic era called The Acolyte, which a lot of people are very excited for. The panel begins after that with the Villains of the Sequel Trilogy. So we saw Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine on stage, with Gwendolyn Christie, who played Captain Phasma, and Andy Serkis, who played Snoke in the Sequel Trilogy, and more recently, Kino Loy in Andor. So the panel was hosted by Amy Ratcliffe, and we got a few little tidbits as to the inside of how they approached their characters and the depth that those stories gave those films. So it was a pretty great panel, especially if you love any of those villains. Another interesting thing today, we had highlights for Jedi Survivor on the Celebration Live stage, including the reveal of a brand new final gameplay trailer. Of course, so Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis in the game, and the director of the game, Stig Asmussen. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. They were on the Celebration Live stage talking about Jedi Survivor and where Cal's adventure is going to take place 5 years after the events of the first game, Jedi Fallen Order.
You were only a child when they sent you off to war. Now look at you. The weight of a galaxy on your shoulders.
Didn't I tell you to be more careful about who you scan? Come on.
I cannot tell you who you must become, or where the line is drawn. There are no easy choices. These are dark times. We have few allies.
Good to see you, Cal.
The odds are against us, and they will always be against us. Now or never!
Seems our destinies are intertwined.
But I can tell you this. If there is any hope of surviving, we must stand against the darkness.
All right, Jedi Survivor comes out April 28th, which is very exciting. We got a glimpse at the new villain in the series called Ravis. He's a Gendai, just like Dirge from the old 2D Clone Wars series, and he leads a group of raiders. Lightsabers will be fully customizable in the game, and the game's ending is apparently so freaking cool that Cameron definitely made a point of saying, don't spoil it for others, don't give it away, don't look it up, play it for yourself. The game releases April 28th on next-gen consoles. Vivian Lyra Blair joined the celebration stage to talk about her experience playing young Leia. We saw appearances on stage by Gwendolyn Christie, Ian McDermott, Warwick Davis, and his children. And those three talked about Willow, and of course, playing around with animatronics and doing what they do on set. It's hard work. ILM's TJ Falls and Mo and Leo joined the stage to talk about VFX on Andor, and we got a look back at the panel for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which saw a very great group of people on stage. Amy Radcliffe hosted the panel with Deborah Chow, the director of the series, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Vivian Lyra Blair, and Indira Varma. And it was just a lot of praise for the series, a look back at the things that they had to do on set. It was just, it was very special. If you liked the series, definitely go check that out. Gordy Hab chatted on the Celebration Live stage about being inspired by John Williams and composing Jedi Survivor. And Rob Bredo comes to stage, the man from the VFX soup from ILM. He's also now a producer on The Acolyte, and gave a little bit of tidbit on just kind of what he does for a living. Giancarlo Esposito was brought out again, and we had a glimpse at some upcoming Hasbro stuff, which, cool Maul figure and Indiana Jones Black Series figures and so on and so forth. Atomic Games presented a new miniatures board game called Shatterpoint, based in the Clone Wars. And authors from the High Republic era, Alyssa Wong, Daniel Jose Older, and Kevin Scott came out to chat about the upcoming Phase 3. And then we got the Disney Parks panel, which was a lot of promotional related stuff, so there wasn't really too much to talk about there. But as far as news goes, we will be getting a new album from DJ Rex, or a new album from Galactic Star Cruiser superstar performer Gaia. Will be coming soon to streaming services and vinyl. Star Wars The Young Jedi Adventures, the upcoming animation for kids, will have an episode based in Batuu. And more details were revealed that Star Wars Star Tours is going to be updated in 2024. New locations, which we haven't even seen yet, are hinted to take place in shows like Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, or Ahsoka. And perhaps you'll be able to jump on a Star Tours and see a planet or two that might show up in those upcoming shows. So that's pretty exciting stuff. LEGO Star Wars team presented Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary sets on stage, and Mandalorian LEGO sets from the most recent Season 3. That was very cool as well. Hayden was brought out onto stage at 6 hours and 27 minutes into the live stream, and man, the crowd goes wild, of course. It was absolutely unreal to hear, the praise for Hayden, and, you could see he was just kind of getting a bit emotional with just how much love he was receiving right then and there on stage, and only had great things to say about, of course, the fans, his experience playing Anakin again, and really hopes to come back. And I know all of us want to see him at Star Wars Celebration again. So, all the thanks in the world for him to show up and talk about Kenobi for a little bit and do some signings and photo ops. And everyone there in person must have had a really great time, seeing him there as well. We had a bit of a glimpse of the Disney Parks people coming out on the Celebration live stage, and more High Republic authors, George Mann, Lydia Kang, and Charles Soule. Charles Soule, prominent author within Star Wars, most recently having written the Hidden Empire comic series, will also be writing the finale to Phase 3 of the High Republic. So he kicks things off with Phase 1 in Light of the Jedi, and he's going to be the one to tie the bow at the end of the day. So that's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that book a lot. The High Republic era Phase 3 will wrap sometime in 2024 or 2025. I'll confirm that in a little bit here. A new Star Wars board game with miniatures called Rivals will be coming out, very inspired by the Funko Pop series. Ewan McGregor came to the stage to wish his farewell. He said everything from thanks to the fans for all the support and wishes to see everyone at the next celebration. That was everything for day 3, and it turns out that I actually missed some info for day 2. So if you listened to yesterday's podcast and recap, I've tried to speed up today's to kind of make time for that because it turned out that all my notes were put in the wrong channel in Discord, so bad me. I've moved them over though, so feel free to check them out in the Celebration Live channel. They're tagged at the very end under a headline called Day 2 Missed Info at the very bottom. So, D. Bradley Baker, Ashley, Matt, and James, they all had a great time at the Star Wars Clone Wars 15th anniversary panel. I think we may have mentioned that. Tales of the Jedi Season 2 is confirmed by Dave Filoni himself. And there was a High Republic panel yesterday, which I didn't really talk about at all in the recap, so I'm just going to get into that right now. A new Phase 2 book called The Edge of Balance Precedent, which I believe is a manga written by Daniel Jose Older and Tomio Ogata, will be coming out within the next year, coming on May 23rd, 2023, so just around the corner. We also have a slew of books that have recently been released in Phase 2, as well as a pending story, which we'll see a novel come out called Tales of Light and Life, which is a series of anthology short stories that bridge the gap between Phase 2 and 3. And every author in the High Republic project is going to be writing a tale that takes place in that book as well, and everyone's very excited about that. November 14th, 2023, this year, we'll see the novel from George Mann called The Eye of Darkness. January 30th next year in 2024, we'll have Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong's novel Escape from Valo, which is a middle grade novel. We'll have Lydia Kang's Chronicles from the Occlusion Zone in October 2023, and that's a serialized fiction Star Wars Insider short story, I believe, or a series of short stories. The High Republic Marvel series will release in 2023 this year. I believe that's for a Phase 3, written by Kevin Scott. And the final phase of the High Republic, called Trials of the Jedi, they did release a bit of a timeline and just kind of like when those stories are all kind of lined up, and I guess when they take place in comparison with the other novels in the series. The middle grade novels for Phase 3 is Beware the Nameless by Zorida Cordova, The Valiant Vow by Justina Ireland, and Escape from Valo, which I already just mentioned. So lots of stuff coming down the chain for the High Republic, and everyone could not be more excited. So that was it. That was the misinformation from Day 2 at Star Wars Celebration, and all the information from today and Day 3. And we've hit our 15 minutes, so man, time goes quick. But dude, follow us on Twitter. You guys follow us on Twitter at SWSK Podcast. Shoot us an email, swskpodcast@gmail.com. Join the Discord. Link is in the description below, along with all of those social ways to get a hold of us. We're also on Instagram with that same handle. Check out the YouTube videos. And before we hit a 16-minute record once again, may the Force be with you guys, and we'll see you in the next recap of Star Wars Celebration and the episodes we have coming after, recapping Mandalorian and breaking down all those stories and so much more.